Hey guys, want to know 3 ways to improve your pistol accuracy? Well, stick around to find out. So, the definition of accuracy is basically being free from error and being able to hit your intended target. Sounds relatively simple, but there are 3 specific areas that you can concentrate on to improve your pistol shooting skills. And those are your grip, your sights and sight picture, and your trigger pull. All right, so let's talk about this grip. We're going to hold high and tight on the frame here. No space between my fingers and the frame. We have the advantage of having a full-size grip here that allows us to use our pinky finger. Anytime you can use that pinky finger, it provides up to 30% of your grip strength, so it's really important. It's a lot more difficult to have that grip strength with a small gun that you can't wrap your pinky around. By the way, I want you to notice my trigger finger is up in a safe position, way up high here on the frame. Remember the 3rd cardinal rule of gun safety? I hope you know them. The 3rd rule says keep your finger off the trigger until ready to fire. Matter of fact, I think we'll just throw up those 4 cardinal rules of gun safety at the end of this video so you can make sure you know them and share them. You want to make sure that your elbows are slightly out instead of down. That will help you control that recoil and reduce that muzzle flip. If you struggle with this, just imagine you're trying to unbend a horseshoe with your hands, and that will help put you in the right position and provide the torque necessary for a good supporting grip. If your elbows are down, you'll probably have more muzzle flip, but if you bring those elbows up, you'll have linear recoil and be able to follow your sights better and be more accurate. All right, guys, let's talk about sights. Odds are you have some kind of iron sights on your pistol already, even if you've already added a red dot. And of course, we'll get to those in a minute. Now, there are a few methods of lining up your front and rear sights, depending on who's training you. But the basic idea is to line up the sights so that the top of the front and rear sights are basically at the same level. The target's either going to be covered by the front sight, such as in the combat hold here. This is what it looks like partially covered in a standard hold. And this is what the lollipop or 6 o'clock hold looks like. That's a very typical hold as well. I generally like the standard hold myself. By the way, this image comes from a great article on tacticalhive.com on the topic of handgun accuracy. So make sure you check it out. In any event, we're focusing more on the front sight than the rear sight, making sure not to close that non-dominant eye. You want to keep both eyes open. Your front sight's going to be clear, the target slightly blurry. By the way, if you want to make sure you know which one of your eyes is dominant, here's a simple test. Pick something in the distance to look at, maybe 10 yards away, 20 yards away. Make a small hole with your hands. Look through that hole at the target. Make that hole really small so you can only see it with one eye. And close your left eye. If you still see the target, you're right eye dominant. If the target disappears when you close your left eye, you're left eye dominant. It's that simple. All right, guys, let's talk about red dots and how to use them. I shoot red dots on most of my pistols for a couple of reasons. First, I can aim and acquire my target a lot faster. I don't have to go through the process of lining the rear side up with the front side, et cetera, and go on and on. I just put that dot on the target, pull the trigger, and that's my job. It's that easy. If you've been holding out, all I can say is give it a try. And I bet once you've shot with a red dot, you'll be a believer real quick. Now, you can always have the best of both worlds. Have suppressor height sights that witness with your red dot, like the ones I have here on this Glock 19. If something should happen to my dot, I will always have iron sights to aim with. Something to think about. So guys, the way you pull that trigger is one of the most critical components of accuracy. Let's take a look at what our finger should look like on that trigger. We want just enough of the first joint of our finger on the trigger to be able to pull that trigger straight back. Too much or too little can push that gun to the left or the right. Now, as we mentioned earlier, the trigger finger works independently from the rest of your strong hand, or it should. And you should be able to pull that trigger consistently every single time. With your unloaded gun, we can do some dry fire to build consistently. Now, once you've double checked your empty gun, get a good grip and start pulling that trigger back until you can feel the wall of resistance. I can feel it right here. This is where the sear engagement, I can feel it. I have a little resistance right there. Pull it a little bit more, and I fired my shot. But wait, there's more. Let's talk about reset. Now, if you leave your finger on the trigger until you feel the reset, there it is right there, you'll be more likely to pull the trigger consistently again to fire your next shot. This is the follow-through process. I did it upside down so you can see what it looks like, obviously. This prepares you for the next shot, and you're going to be a lot more consistent this way versus taking your finger completely off the trigger between each shot. By the way, you can use this technique for any semi-automatic firearm. You can also dry firing with a coin on top of your slide. See if you can pull that trigger nice and easy without that coin falling off. Pretty good here on the Glock. Let's try it on this pistol. This is a little 380 that I had earlier in the video. Let's see if I can do it without losing that coin there. Makes sense, right? Hey, I just made 10 cents. Wah, wah, wah. That was terrible. We've been making a lot of content recently with the dry fire mag and some of the Mattis X dry fire accessories, which are great tools that can help improve your dry fire practice. I recently made a feature video with several of these items on the Survival Dispatch YouTube channel, so make sure you check it out. All right, guys, I hope this information helps with your pistol accuracy. Drop us a comment. Let us know if you have any more tips you'd like to share or if you learned anything from this video today. Okay, I promised I'd run my 4 cardinal rules of gun safety for you here. So here we go. Let's close out with that. Number 1, always treat all firearms as if they are loaded at all times. Number 2, never allow the muzzle of a firearm to point at anything you're not willing to destroy. Number 3, never put your finger near the trigger until you are ready to fire. And by the way, don't ever depend on a mechanical device for safety. Your trigger finger is always going to be your best safety. And always be sure of your target, what's around it, and what's behind it. Thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure you hit those buttons, like, subscribe, comment, and share. And we'll see you next time.